welcome everyone. Really excited to be kicking off this cohort. So today's agenda is actually pretty simple. So let me bring up the document that we'll be going through. Our pilot cohort, the design challenge is the one that you guys had picked. So we refined it to be synthetic identity fraud. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. Let's start with introductions. So we'll go ahead and start by introducing myself and Madhu. So most of you, actually all of you have met us now and know a little bit about us. So both of us are passionate data analytics folks with a long career. I was the Chief Data Privacy Analytics Officer for a large bank. Before that, I was the Chief Information Officer for Credit and Fraud Risk at American Express. Before that, I spent 10 years at IBM. I have an engineering and computer science degree from India. And Madhu?
Thanks, Sandeep. Yeah. So I, as Sandeep mentioned, I also have decent data analytics, advanced analytics background. I've been doing machine learning for the last 15 years. As a director of machine learning at American Express, I did my postdoctorate at Stanford, PhD, and one of the masters at University of Michigan. Going into the machine learning algorithms, trying to customize them to solve some of the problems at hand. That's what gives me the kick. Yeah.
Thank you, Madhu. And between Madhu and I, we have over 30 patents, all of them in data and analytics, and some of them actually together. And more to come with the startup that we are starting. We have a few patents that we are ready to file for those. And Madhu also has a pretty large number of publications. So that's a little bit about us. And we are going to do something hopefully fun. We want you to introduce yourself and see if you can do this. Introduce yourself through an example of AI and ML in action. So any AI and ML application that resonates with you could be a sci-fi reference, could be something that inspires you. See if you can do that. And I have created some avatars for you. Pick out a name for avatar. You can also choose to create your own avatar. So as we go through each of you, you can tell us if you like the avatar I built for you or if you want to create your own. Okay. So let's start with Aditya.
And these avatars are pretty cool. Not gonna say. Yeah, so about myself, I'm an engineer. I did my engineering in India, in electronics and communication. Currently, I'm a grad student at the business school at ASU. I'm doing my master's in business analytics. I have about 2 years of work experience, mostly in NLP. Yeah, I like NLP and conversational AI applications, but I'm hoping to broaden my knowledge of, analytics and machine learning through this cohort and this experience. Yeah, that's about me.
Okay, that wasn't AI and ML in action. That was it. Thank you, Aditya.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to Keval.
Hi everyone, I am Keval. I am a CS bachelor student at ASU. I am in my junior year, and the current AI and ML in action which I would like would be probably ChatGPT. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Keval. And all of you guys should start thinking about your avatar name before our next session on Monday. Ananya?
This is so good. I don't look like that. So, hi everyone. I'm Ananya. I'm a junior studying computer science. One of the applications that I really like would be so there was this project in SpaceX which predicted for precision landing. It predicted the most precise angle to enter the Earth's surface when it hits the atmosphere. And probably that would be my favorite application.
Great. Thank you, Ananya.
Nice.
Bitan?
Hi everyone. The avatars are pretty flattering, to be honest. So, so I'm a MSCS graduate at ASU. I'm in my first year, second semester essentially. I've got a bit of work experience. I've got 3 years of work experience. 1 year working as a software developer, and 2 working as a data engineer. Since my bachelor's days, I've got a BTech in electronics and telecommunication. Since my BTech days, I've always liked working with data, the various facets of it, visualization, EDA, all of it. And then machine learning is super interesting. Deep learning catches my attention a lot. I think one particular use case or maybe an algorithm that catches my fancy all the time is simple linear regression, because I have a tendency to overcomplicate things in my head. So it's just my way of keeping myself grounded, to be honest. So yeah, that's
everyone does, Vitan. Yeah.
So yeah, that's more or less about me.
Thank you, Bitan. Chiren?
So I have a avatar name that's All Father, and something about myself. So I'm in my final semester doing my master's in computer science. I have my engineering degree in Bachelor's of Information Technology. I am more on the development side. I haven't worked a lot with data, so I'm interested in exploring this domain in general. And some AI action which I would like to see, which we haven't yet, is something like Jarvis, which is a general purpose AI. So something more than ChatGPT-4, like something along those lines.
You should check out the latest Google innovation, Chiren.
Okay,
I'll send you the link after this.
sounds good.
Okay, and last but not the least, the longest member of our cohort, Apramey, has been with us since January, and we asked him to join this cohort. So go ahead, Apramey.
Hey everyone, my name is Aprami. I'm a junior at Mountain Ridge High School, so a lot younger than the rest of you guys, still in high school. And I've been with, well, it was Drippy, but now it's synthetic. But I was with them since January, and it's been overall a great experience for me. And my favorite application of AI, I would say, would be self-driving cars. That's something I found really cool and something that we see in our everyday life almost.
Excellent, thank you. So this is the group that you'll be working with and learning with for the next few months. So get to know one another, both at during your learning sessions and outside, because we are trying to create an environment which is what you'll find when you join the workforce. So thank you all for introducing yourselves and sharing what you really like from an AI and ML standpoint. So let's go to our next section, which is the program logistics. So just get a few things out of the way. The first is the learning platform that we are going to use. As you have seen, some of you have already accepted the invite, is Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is where we'll post all of the session material. We'll have conversations And we will also have the links to various reference material we'll be posting, assignments, as well as you can find the meeting invite there. So that's the platform. And if you don't already know, there is a mobile version of Google Classroom, so you can access it on your mobile device also. We have just a few simple expectations and asks of each of you. Number one, mandatory attendance for all of these sessions. We really hope that all of you can make every one of these sessions. The second is video on, a really good quality webcam and proper lighting, primarily because we are going to be recording each video and parsing the facial expressions and emotions for each session. And we'll use that to give you feedback on how engaged are you, how interested are you. That is going to be beneficial for you as you join the workforce. Assignments. Our assignments are going to be very simple. We don't give tests. There are no exams. Our assignments will be things like reading up or reviewing some material, some additional reference material. It also could be think of some probing questions for the sessions that are coming up and submit them upfront. So those are the types of assignments, but we ask that you try and complete those on time. This is one of the things that I've observed with several of you, that we send out an email and it's hard to get a response. So our ask is, when we send out emails to you, at least acknowledge and or respond as required. And finally, have fun. This is a great, I'm hoping that we can create a great learning experience for you. It's not the traditional lecture model that we see in schools or even in several colleges. So we want to have discussions. We want to have engaged conversations. So just enjoy yourself. Okay, so before we go to the next section and introduce the design challenge that you will be learning, or through the challenge that you'll be learning, let me first introduce the industry expert that is helping us curate this challenge. His name is Naveen Agarwal. He is a senior director at Visa. He works in digital identity. He's an expert in digital identity, and he also worked with me at American Express. We built out the Customer 360 platform that Amex uses now to have a unified view of all of our 100 million plus customers. He is a graduate of IIT Kharagpur and a really stellar individual and a great professional. And he is going to conduct the story session for this design challenge, which we'll see in a second. So before I move forward, any questions about Naveen or his experience? Okay. One thing that you'll see is we'll constantly keep bringing in different industry experts and professionals to the program that you can connect with, learn from, and also continue to build your network. So this is a quick preview of the design challenge that you'll be learning through. This is not the actual design challenge, but it's just to give you a little bit of an insight into what you're about to learn. So in a few sessions, Naveen will come and he'll conduct the first story session. We'll describe what is going to come up in the next few sessions. So this is just a little trailer of what's to come. let's get some comments, some feedback. What did you take away?
I have a question. So how can someone create fake accounts just by using SSN and some minor information without the person itself having?
Yeah. So this is one of the things that you learn in the design challenge, because every design challenge starts with what we call the story step. And we bring in industry experts to give you a perspective of how that problem works in the real world. What are the different perspectives? So I'll let Naveen explain that in more detail. But the basic idea is that what fraudsters will do, they will typically start with some foundational element like a social security number. So a child or a person who's recently deceased or an older person who usually doesn't check their credit report or nobody checks their social security, they'll start to add additional attributes to that, a fake name, a fake address. And they'll start with something simple as create a loyalty account with someone. And all of these are built over time. So it may take several months or even a year or a couple of years. So it's a long con. It doesn't happen instantly like an account takeover fraud or a typical identity fraud where someone steals your information. So that's why if you saw that quote, how do you catch a thief who doesn't exist? Because there is no real entity. They created a completely fake entity. So Naveen will explain in more detail, but that is the basic idea of how that synthetic identity is created.
Got it. Thank you, Sandeep.
Sure. Any other comments? Any reactions of what you're about to learn? Is this interesting?
I would definitely say it's something interesting. Like, it's fascinating, and like I blush. I too was like kind of confused on how someone could just take a SSN and completely do that identity theft and steal money. So I definitely think it's a fascinating concept to cover.
Great.
So
And-
whatever,
Right, Chirag.
sorry. Yeah,
Please.
whatever we learn here is that's also transferable to other countries. Like, for example, India has Aadhaar card, so we can use the same knowledge for different domains, but that's transferable, right?
It's extremely transferable. And also the idea of bringing real industry problems is that you don't just do projects that are very generic. You work on projects that companies are solving right now. So it also improves the likelihood of you getting employment with those companies, because we also help you get network with the people who are actually solving those kinds of problems. So that's the other benefit of the approach that we are trying to use. So one thing that you would realize as we go through the sessions, that you wouldn't be staying on mute for too long, because we'll try to keep dragging you into conversations. So just get used to the fact that get off mute, share your opinions and points of view, ask a lot of questions. If not, then we'll be calling you on to ask questions and provide your points of view. So just get used to that. The next thing, and we'll share a PDF of this document so that you have a reference, and the video that you just saw is also on YouTube. So I've provided the YouTube link if you want to go back and see what are the specific topics that you're going to learn through the design challenge. And there are a lot of references. There are some interesting articles I found that are pretty recent on synthetic identity, especially. So I would advise you to check them out before you come to the next session. So what's coming up next is we start with a Python refresher. So all of you have confirmed that you have experience with Python. So just quick heads up that if you need to refresh, please do so over the next few weeks. We will describe our learning methodology in detail, but just a few things that we want to highlight today are two specific methodologies that we haven't seen used in any other school or college. One is called teach to learn, and the other is called probe to learn. The teach to learn concept basically flips the traditional model on its head. The idea is that if we teach you a concept, we want you to come back in the following session and try to explain to the rest of your cohort. So the philosophy is, and research proves it, that you learn a lot and you are able to comprehend in a much deeper way when you have to explain a concept to somebody else in a pretty concise way. So it's a great way to learn. So rather than the lecturer talking at you and you just passively sitting and receiving that information, you may think you have understood, but the moment you have to explain it to somebody else, it becomes very clear if you did or not. And the rest of your cohort members will say, yes, we understood, or no, we did not understand, which tells you whether you have understood or not. So it's not a grading mechanism. It's not an assessment. It's just for you to know whether you have learned or not, and whether you were able to communicate that clearly to others. So that's the idea of teach to learn. Probe to learn is while someone is teaching, the others have to think about really probing questions to engage, because that's the way for them to do additional research, come up with really thoughtful and insightful questions. And if you think about, we have 7 people in our cohort, some of you may ask questions that the others would not have thought about if they had not asked. So by crowdsourcing those questions, everyone is broadening their horizon of trying to understand the concepts from different perspectives and different angles. So those would be one of the key assignments. After several sessions, we'll have a teach to learn session where each of you may choose to pick a topic or a concept that you want to teach your cohort. And the others in that session will have the probe to learn assignment where they have to come up with questions to ask the person who's explaining. Is that clear? Makes sense? And do you understand the philosophy behind it?
Yes.
Okay, good. The other thing that we wanted to talk about was most lectures that you go to, a lot of people take copious notes. But our methodology is very different. Our methodology is all based on Socratic discussions. So when you're having a discussion, we don't want you to be taking notes because it's very distracting to you and to others. We really want you to engage in a conversation. So if you want to take notes, we have come up with a very simple and creative way. All you have to do is type key in the Zoom chat window. So what that does is it gives the person who typed that keyword, we get their name and we get the timestamp, which is telling us that you were instead interested in that part of the conversation. So after the recording, we'll go back and parse the video and give you a synthesis of that portion of the session along with a link to the video. So it's a very easy way for you to take notes where you can just jump back to the video at that point along with a summary of what was discussed in that 5 or 10 minutes of that discussion.
So when we type key, should we just send it to everyone or should we send it to you?
Yeah.
Or...
No, just type key in the chat and send it to everyone. Because it has the name and timestamp attached, we can actually find out who typed key when. So you don't have to put in your name, nothing. So during a discussion, you want to make note of that discussion which you thought was interesting, and you may want to come back and review. Just type key in the chat window and we'll do the rest.
All right.
I believe the other part of your question, Aprami, was are you supposed to send it to everyone or to a specific individual? I think for that one, it's up to you. If you feel comfortable that you want to send it to everyone, you can do that. Or if you want to just send it to either Sandeep or me, that's totally fine too.
All right.
Regardless, we would be able to capture it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so everyone follows this. And do you understand the philosophy behind why we are doing this and why we are saying don't take notes? It's not that we don't want you to take notes. We want you to be engaged in the conversation as much as possible. That's really the intent. With that, let us quickly explain to you the structure of the design challenge that we'll be following, and then we'll explain each of the steps. So let me walk you through the steps first, and then we'll explain each step and what it means. So step one, like I said before, is story. The idea of the story is we have seen a lot of learning methodologies focus too much on solution. And our experience tells us that if you don't really understand the problem well, if you don't empathize with the problem, you can't really solve it in creative ways. You have to feel passionate and engaged about a problem to be able to come up with really creative solutions. That's the philosophy behind the story step. And we bring in these industry experts who will explain to you the problem in ways that they have experienced practically. From an impact standpoint, from where it is applied in the real world to how they have approached that problem and so on. So that's the idea of step one. The idea about step two, which is root cause analysis followed by a solution design, is, again, we don't want you to jump from problem directly to solution, which is what a lot of people do. And we feel there is a missed opportunity for you to develop your critical thinking skills. So we actually teach you specific techniques for root cause analysis, like there is a technique called 5 whys analysis or a technique called Pareto analysis. So we'll teach you those techniques and we'll work with you to apply those techniques to the problem that we just understood in step one. So you can understand what are the different aspects of the problem and really get to the root causes. There may not be one root cause, there may be multiple root causes. And then we'll collectively pick one branch of that root cause and we'll decide to solve it. So we'll go to the solution design phase and we'll work on first conceptually solving that problem, functionally solving that problem. And then we go to the prep phase, which is now that we have understood the problem, we have understood which root cause we are going to go solve, we have understood what our high-level solution approach is, we will identify what concepts do we need to learn to be able to solve that problem. So the curriculum definition for each design challenge actually happens in step 3. And it is very specific to what concepts do you need to learn to solve this problem. It's not a generic machine learning 101 or NLP 101 or any field of study. It is very specific to that problem at hand. Then we go to the learn and solve step. We learn each concept and then apply that to solve a portion of the problem until the entire problem is solved. So you do that iteratively. You learn, you teach, you probe, you write code, and then you move on to the next concept and so on. So whatever you're learning, you get to apply it right away. We don't wait for a project at the end of the semester or something. And finally, we teach you how to pitch. So we will help you create a portfolio, a presentation where you have to do a pitch to a panel of, so usually it'll be Madhu and I, but sometimes we'll bring in industry experts and potential hiring leaders, you'll pitch to them. So we'll teach you how to create a presentation, how you'll describe what was the problem, how did we approach the solution, what challenges did you overcome, and what did you finally do, and present that in a very succinct manner to a potential leader. So it'll help increase your confidence, it'll help improve your communication skills, and again, it'll help you network with industry leaders who are looking for interns and future employees. So let me pause again here and get some reactions. What do you think about our methodology? Any comments, questions, reactions, snide comments?
I think it's a very creative way to like creative flow from problem to solution, because like as engineers, we sort of jump to solution right away. We like see a problem and we're like, this is the solution. I think the root analysis part is what we miss. And I guess it would be very interesting for us to learn a new methodology of thinking for approaching a problem.
Great. Thank you, Ananya.
Just building off on Ananya said, like I did a previous design challenge, like I didn't complete one, but we were in the solving aspect of it. And I was really frustrated in the beginning and I kind of wanted to jump straight onto the solution. But I think really going through those initial steps of the context and the root cause analysis really gives you that nuance and diverse view that really allows you to implement a solution that's more viable and more effective than one where you just kind of jump right into the solution. So that was just my experience with it in the past.
Thank you, Aparna. Any other comments or reactions?
Yeah, it's
sorry,
really true what Ananya and Aparna said. Because a lot of times we need to generate. So when we are solving a problem, we need to generate features or which actually needs a lot of domain knowledge. So doing all this analysis before jumping into the problem will actually help in not going in wrong directions and wasting time and generating models that can actually models or solutions that can actually impact business in a real way.
Great. Thank you, Abhilash.
That is so spot on, Abhilash. Again, as a data scientist, feature engineering is definitely one of the critical aspects of building the solution once you identify the problem thoroughly, right? And for you to do a really good job at feature engineering, you need to understand the problem that you're trying to solve, and also which goes hand in hand with what is your data, like what is it that what is the information that it's telling you, right? And accordingly, the moment when you get the insights on the data, then you will be able to do a better job at the feature engineering. And most of you, I think, already know that the better features that you usually have, typically, you'll be able to build a great machine learning model with a very simple machine learning algorithm when you have great set of features. There is other side of the machine learning solution as well, which is you just like create all the features that you can think of, and then probably use a very heavy either language model or the vision model, whichever you have access to build a solution as well. But again, in those scenarios, you may not be able to truly understand what's going on behind the scenes, right? So anyway, we are going to have fun having all of these discussions, but that is so true with respect to the point of view that you just shared, Abhilash.
Bitan, you were going to say something. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I sort of had a question with regards to the final presentation or the pitch that we're going to do. Is the expectation that when we are pitching, we should be demoing or showing off whatever is the actual physical solution that we've come up with? Or is it more of a pitch where we talk about the ideation and the theoretical aspect of how we want to solve the problem while we have a working model at hand? Like, what is the expectation?
Great question, Bitan. So the idea is to prepare you to pitch to an investor. That's what we are trying to simulate. So imagine you just created a new solution for a problem. You have to explain the problem. You have to explain your solution approach. You have to explain how did you go about solving the problem in a creative way. And you have to do it in a very short period of time. So you have to come up with a succinct way to explain it. So imagine you're on Shark Tank. So the whole idea is there are 2 or 3 main ideas on what we are going for. Idea number 1, we want you to feel confident about public speaking and presenting. Second, we want you to understand the problem well enough to be able to field questions and defend your solution, not just in front of an investor, but in front of anyone, which is going to be very, very crucial when you join the workforce. You'll constantly have to present either to get funding or to get sponsorship or something. So this is a great practice for that. And the third is we want you to introduce you to industry leaders in a very meaningful way. So we are trying to get people to come and listen to these pitches. So if someone is trying to build a fraud detection AI and ML team, this is a great pool of 7 people that they can hire from. So you are getting a benefit of getting connected to them, but they are also getting access to this talent pipeline who have solved very specific problems. So they don't have to put them through long internship programs because they already just did that with us. So those are the 3 ideas: confidence and communication, learning how to present to get funding or sponsorship, and getting connected to industry and industry network.
Makes sense. And one suggestion with respect to the flow of the modules, could we do it in an iterative fashion where we go over ideation and solution building? Because I feel doing it in sprints would help us in the sense that we might not actually come up with problems that we might face later down in the pipeline. And then like keeping a little bit of time in between 2 sprints would make it easier for us to do it in a more, proper fashion. That's all I feel. Maybe you guys have a better idea.
A more agile way to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Bital and Chirin. And that's how we have designed it. So because we are not getting into the solution until step 4, so there is a lot of pre-work that is happening. We are understanding the domain and the problem. We are understanding the root causes. We are understanding what concepts. And then we get into the learn and solve. So even though it's step 4, that is the longest phase of the journey. And that is where we iterate. We learn a few concepts, we apply, we keep iterating, then we go to the next concept and so on. So that's where bulk of the iteration will happen.
Understood. Yeah, makes sense.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we just have a few more things and then we can wrap up for today. So this is our structure. And the only few things that we wanted to show you was the type of network you'll start to get access to. So as you know, we have not officially launched our startup yet, but we already have a lot of people who are excited about what we are doing, and they are beginning to join our network. So I wanted to give you a little insight into who these people are that you'll be beginning to get connected with. So these are a few people who have already joined our network and they are excited about what we are doing. So the Chief Technology and Digital Officer of a large payments company, the Head of Technology Strategy and Transformation of an insurance company, the General Manager and Head of Data of a large Australian bank, this gentleman who's going to come and actually host a few sessions for us. There are a few senior leaders from American Express. There is a person from Switchfly, a travel company. He's the head of data science. And then we have a few other folks who are CEOs and CTOs of several startups who have joined our network. And this network is going to continue to grow. And you guys will have access to these leaders and their experiences and their insights. So any questions about that or any comments of on just the kind of people that you see in our network?
It's really great. All the whoever the people you have shown, they are in like really big positions in their companies, and they have a lot of experience on various different problems, and it's really a great opportunity. Generally, if we message them on LinkedIn to talk to them, I don't think they'll reply or something. So this is really a great opportunity that we can actually talk to them and then see how difficult real world problems are and how they solve. It's really great. Looking
That's
forward
what
to
we were
great
going-
learning.
Thank you, Abhilash. That's what we were going for, and we are beginning to get validation of one of the key components of our startup. So thank you. Aditya, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just want to know, are we going to be interacting with them, or are they going to be teaching us through these sessions? Like, what's going to be our communication to them, or are we presenting to them? Or how is it going to work?
All of the above. We are trying to figure out specifically, but just to give you a glimpse of where our heads are at right now, there are 3 or 4 key ways for us to connect with them, for all of you to connect with them. One is, I just started a podcast. So I'll be interviewing some of them, and those will become available to you. So you can just learn from their experiences and expertise. The second is, they will either host sessions, so like curate a design challenge, and they'll come and host a few sessions. So we are working with 3 people right now who are working on curating these design challenges. So one whom you already will be meeting in a few weeks, this gentleman from Visa. The other 2, one is the chief technology officer of a startup firm who does AI around NLP. They have built some really, really great solutions. So they will be coming and hosting a few sessions and teaching. Then there another person who's the head of data science from Switchfly. There are a few other folks, one senior vice president from a large bank who's going to come and teach you about other risk capabilities and so on. So they'll be hosting sessions. Some of them will come and judge your pitch. I will also be organizing for some of these folks who are already in Phoenix. They will be doing meetups. So you'll have opportunity to just meet with them, hang out, have a drink if you're eligible to drink. And then finally, you would have the opportunity to ask them questions. So what we are trying to do is, because a lot of them are pretty busy, so we are saying, let us do it in a way that's not onerous to them. So they are saying, I'm going to be available these few hours during a week. So if you submit your questions, we will make sure that either them or one of them responds to you. So it will not be synchronous communication, but asynchronous communication. So that's the idea, that just by having access to them, even if you may not be able to directly ask them questions or get an answer right away, you will get an answer in a few days potentially. So that's what we are starting with. Does that answer your question, Aditya?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, thanks.
Keval or Chirain, anything?
I had a question. So, as they are leaders from different industries and they would have different design problems, but I think we are only working on one of them. So, will the leaders from different industries come to these sessions, or will it be just the ones who are into the finance sector? Because the travel company would be there in this challenge, or would it be another challenge in the next cohort? So that's what I was a bit confused about.
Got it. So the design challenge has some continuity. So anyone who's related to that design challenge, because they either worked in that field or worked in the fraud area, will interact with you in the context of the design challenge that you're working on. The other folks, you'll be able to connect with them either by reviewing, if they have a podcast interview with me, or you may be able to meet them during a meetup, or you can submit questions to them and they can respond to you outside of the design challenge, outside the context of the design challenge. And then once you make the connection, it's a lifelong connection. If you invest in that relationship, then they are going to invest in you. So these are just ways to get connected. And then, of course, you'll have to put in the effort to stay connected with them. So you are absolutely right that not all of them will come and interact with you for the context of this design challenge. Only some of them might.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right, so let's keep going. I just have a few more slides. The other thing that I wanted to share with you was who is our advisory board for our new startup. So we have, again, some really senior academics and industry leaders. So Dr. Raghu Santanam, he's at ASU. He's the senior dean, associate dean for the WP Carey Management School. We have Judy, who's the dean and CEO of this new engineering college in London. We have Yogaraj, who's the chief technology officer and digital officer for Deluxe. David Walls, he's the executive director at the ASU Foundation and also Dean Squires' chief of staff. So he has access to Dean Kyle Squires, whom all of you know. And we have Dr. Preeti Shroff. She used to be the dean of this management school in India, and she recently switched, and she's now a professor and director at Northwestern. And that's it. Have fun and enjoy the experience. Anything else, Madhu, do you want to share before we wrap up for today? Or anyone else have has a question?
I just want to bring up that some of you have already accepted the invite on Google Classroom, and some you did not. Whoever did not, please accept the invite and log into Google Classroom. Check out primarily few things. One is the Python refresher. We have already added some material over there. So if any of you want to just refresh your concepts, please do it. I think the first coding session would not happen or would happen after like around 5 or 6 sessions. So you would get approximately maybe eight sessions, maybe like 3 to 4 weeks of time. Yep.
A few other logistical items. I had sent out 2 documents, terms of service and a privacy policy. So any of you who hasn't had a chance to sign them, it's a simple e-signature through Acrobat. So please check your emails for those 2 documents and sign them before the next session. That's one. And second is because we are going to be creating a behavioral blueprint that we have described to you. One of the key elements of that is facial expressions and facial recognition. So it's an actually pretty interesting AI problem. So the only request is see if you can get good lighting on your face and not have backlight. So Ananya, for example, we are getting a lot of backlight, so your face is not as clear. So for the next session, if you could adjust that, please. And for all of you, if you could have light in front of your face and not a lot of backlight, that'll help our models.
Does my setting work?
Yeah, so I think the webcam is not the most clear. Even these 4K webcams don't seem to do a very good job, but phones usually, even older phones, have incredible camera quality. So if there is a way that you can just use your phone as a webcam, that has the best camera quality. But if not, whatever you have is fine.
In terms of lighting, I think to your question, Shiren, I think your current setting should be okay.
So I'll use the same setting. I'll just join with my phone next time. That works, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we hope that you are excited about this journey. We are very excited to have you all. And we are going to start 3 more cohorts in May and June. So if you have friends who are interested, some of these are going to be paid sessions because, of course, we are trying to start a revenue model. But if you think that you are enjoying your experience, please spread the word among your friends. So thank you all, and we'll see you on Monday evening.